Do you think it is more difficult for a woman to succeed in business than a man?
I think there can be obstacles in the way, but I do feel like the environment is definitely changing over time.
Do you think there's anything that women can do to fix it?
I think so, as we have more and more women going into top leadership roles that are the CEOs of companies, that will continue to help that cause. There's a great book called Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. It gives insight onto the number of women that are in those CEO positions. It gives a lot of data. So we actually have a program called WOW. And so as professional veteran women, meaning experienced women, I think it's important for us to help mentor and guide and encourage and coach young professional women to how to handle obstacles that they might have or perceive in the workplace, and how do we then have more CEOs in the future that are women.
Do you feel that social media is changing any stigma towards women?
I personally think, I'm probably not the one to ask a whole lot about social media.
Have you ever doubted yourself because you're a woman?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you doubt yourself for lots of reasons, and I think some of it is because we as women have that much more passionate side and caring and nurturing side. So I think it makes you play both sides of being that very driven corporate person, getting ahead, and then how do you balance that with being, the nurturing person, that the more female traits that come in that. So when you do that, then you doubt yourself, because you're like, well, do I need to be this way or do I need to be this way? So you do. I mean, and I think anybody in a position of authority that has to make tough decisions will doubt themselves, whether you're a man or a woman. But I think there's probably more components that play into
woman.
Yeah. And I like to brainstorm things out. I like to have somebody that's my confidant that just lets me not only vent but also talk it out. And talking it out helps me process it to make a better decision. So I like to do pros and cons lists too.
Yeah, me too. And I forgot it. Do you think that women need to do anything more to succeed than men?
We have to do anything more. Sometimes I'm a little old school, but I think we have to work harder sometimes to get to the same level as men. That's probably why you see like all these stacks on my desk, because I've got my hands are in about 5 different things right now.
Do you think that younger generations are more accepting of women in the workplace?
Oh, definitely. I don't think you're going to have the stereotypes and stigmas that my generation, or maybe even a little bit younger than myself. I think your generation is much more accepting of everyone than my generation. So whether it is whether it's race or gender, or somebody's cultural backgrounds, or their nationality, however you want to say all of those things, your generation is much more accepting, because our society's has become much more of a melting pot in the way terms of multicultural coming together. Growth and positive change is good.
Are there any examples of being discriminated against or mistreated that you'd talk about?
I mean, I won't name names, but yes, I mean, there's been several times that I have been discriminated against in this position by elected officials, and just because I am a female in a leadership position for this organization. I can't give specifics, but it happens more than is really what this should be acceptable. you just try to turn the other cheek and not let it get under your skin, and know that that person's wrong in their way, and they shouldn't look at this. They should look at the role that I play
And the work that you're doing.
and the work that the organization's doing that I'm helping lead. I can give you kind of another example. So, met with an elected official the other day, myself and another same peer, you know, we're in the room. He was male, I was female. Every time I went to speak, the elected official spoke over me. And every time the male counterpart spoke, the elected official listened to every word he said. You know, even not so much even in this role, but just as a female, my husband and I can be at a social event, and it's still amazing how many times people will ask my husband what he does for a living, but they don't even engage me to know, or where do you work, or where do you know, they assume that I stay at home. And
I see that with my parents a lot.
Yeah.
And like when they go to get like their car fixed or something, they like my mom actually knows more about it, but they only talk to my dad. Like they won't even look at her. And like if she says something, they're just like
they won't. So.
Do you think that men and women will like ever be equal?
Totally equal. It depends on, you know, if you are raised in certain faiths, you know, it's still the woman is to serve her, or the wife's to serve her husband. So I think if it's depends on if you follow the belief of that, then I don't think you'll ever be equal. Yeah, I mean, in a total perfect world, yeah, that would be great.
When someone says like a business person, like what do you picture? Like describe what like you see in your head.
When I see a business person, well, I think for me it's because I'm a conservative business person. You know what I think of as business, and business to me is suits and dresses and slacks and you know that professional, what I consider professional in it.
Is there any advice you'd give a woman, like either entering the workplace or business, or like?
There's probably a lot. This is probably a hard generational thing too. Sometimes I put my job before my family, and sometimes you have to work and find that place and move up that corporate ladder. So give it your all and be that dedicated. Go the extra mile.
Women have come very far in where we are now, and I feel like we still have a long ways to go. But for we have to thank the women that came before us for all the work that they did, and the women that are in the workforce now, we have to continue to work harder and fight so that we can continue to build the generations that are coming after us. Like in my case, like Kathy brought me in here and she's mentored me and built me up. So now the next person that comes after me, I can help them. And when I can build the next person, we can build the next generation. And it's going to take strong women to build the next generation of strong.
When you picture a business person, what do you see?
I see a guy in like a suit and tie with like a briefcase.
Do you think women should be in business, or do you think they should stay in jobs like nursing, teaching, and staying home with the kids?
No, I think they should be in business if they want to. It really depends on what they want. Like if they want to do business, then they should do business. If they don't, then they should.